Hi, this is Abul Hussain coming to you live and direct from London, the United Kingdom. And if you are watching this interview outside of our Facebook group for social media marketing agencies, make sure to find the link and join in, or go to smmamastermind.com, especially if you're looking to start or scale a social media marketing agency. Now, with that out of the way, I have a very special guest joining me from Wisconsin in the USA. You know, he's an entrepreneur with multiple businesses, has a huge amount of marketing experience, and we really want to get him on board, get some tips, talk about his journey. So without a further ado, Tyus Hoeppner, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm very excited to do this with you, and I'm really glad to touch on a lot of different topics, but especially when it comes to that SMMA material. So very glad to be here with you and excited to do it.
Thank you very much for joining me. You've been very generous with your time. So you know what, let's get rolling. For people who don't know who you are, how about a bit of an introduction?
Absolutely. So as you said, my name is Tyus Hoeppner. I'm from the Midwest originally. I grew up here. I've traveled all over the United States. Haven't made a lot of trips overseas by any means, but that is next on my list. So I mean, as far as me and my business and what I do, again, I mostly do marketing, and any business that I have, I'm mostly the one in charge. Currently, I'm working with a few big clients, one out in New York and one out in Italy, and then a bunch of smaller clients as well, but really just expanding my travel horizons and really just trying to perfect Facebook marketing and just marketing as a whole.
So how about we dive right into, you mentioned SMA there, talk to us a little bit about your marketing experience and how did you get involved in the world of marketing?
Absolutely. So marketing for me kind of started in when I was in high school. I had a sales job at just like a Foot Locker. I was selling shoes. I was just this kid who didn't know anything about sales. I was just showing stuff. And it was a lot of fun for me, but a lot of the things that came from that, and the reason I got a lot of my sales was just talking to a lot of my friends, telling them where I worked, and just kind of like getting the word of mouth around, like telling people what I was doing. I was super passionate, super excited. So I kind of found myself kind of branding in that way, which led to a lot of different opportunities down the road. I moved to the West Coast of the United States, to California, where I got a job at a marketing company. I planned on going to school there. Ended up dropping out after a month because they offered me a full-time position in marketing, which is exactly what I was going to school for. So I was like, you know what, let's do it. I got the job. I, was there for a couple of years, just grinding, learning the basics. And then it kind of turned into self-education, taking a lot of different courses. So some Tai Lopez courses, again, big names, Dean Graziosi, Tony Robbins, Billie Jean. I just kind of dived in and spent thousands of dollars just on a lot of their programs and just learned so much. And it was super exciting. I'm so glad I did it. And I've seen full return on every program that I've taken. So really everything came from self-education and just really the desire to keep moving.
Awesome. So your business right now, your agency business, if you like, do you focus on a particular niche, or do you work with anybody who reaches out to you? I mean, what are you doing for your clients at the moment?
Yes. So I was told I should niche down, and I have for the most part, but I also do have a couple of straggling businesses that I work with that aren't necessarily a part of my niche. But mostly I'm in the hair and the fashion industry. 80% of my clients is there. But I also work with a food delivery company, and a couple other businesses like a painting company and so on and so forth. So I try to niche down to hair. So if you own a salon or if you're into fashion, please let me know. I would be glad to help you out.
So in those industries, and I know you've got a great fashion story that we're going to come to in a bit. What are you doing? Are you generating leads, sales? What are you actually doing for your clients?
Absolutely. I do a few different things for most of my clients, but typically I'm all about lead gen. Now, if I'm not doing lead gen, I mean, we definitely try to push for sales and things as well. But I think specifically what's good about working with me is I'm really good at branding. So we spend a lot of time just really building that brand, that reputation, building just the visibility of the person and kind of building them up to where they want to be. So just spending a lot of time branding mostly, but definitely do a lot of lead gen for some big mastermind classes and things like that.
You know, there's going to be some people here who might own a hair salon or, you know, some sort of a barber or some other kind of fashion business that are recovering, that are reopening after this lockdown, this pandemic. What's the biggest piece of advice you can give them to actually kind of reignite their business again?
Yeah. I mean, that's the biggest thing right now. Coming straight out of COVID, a lot of people, I don't know how it is where you guys are, but you know, some of the salons, they just can't be open right now. Some of them are closing and really just trying to maintain coming out of COVID. And really the biggest piece of advice that I can give to you is really just branding yourself at this time. This is a perfect time to do branding. I recommend doing a lot of DIY tutorials, like doing a lot of different, just how to do a simple ponytail or how to take care of your hair at home, and just doing things like that just to kind of make yourself the expert in your field. Because that way when things open back up, people are seeing your face, you're fresh on their mind. And when you open up, and in the meantime, while you're doing these DIY tutorials, people might be asking you, hey, when can I get in? And just keeping yourself present there. That's the biggest thing. So if you can do the DIY things, I would 100% do them, because they might even make you money in the short term. So definitely stay on
Yeah,
top of that for sure is my number one recommendation.
that makes total sense. And I mean, in the UK, our kind of barbers and hair salons only opened up from the 4th of July, so it's
Oh, wow. Okay.
still quite recent. You know, we've had quite a
Yes.
stringent lockdown, unlike the US, where I know there's a bit of a disparity, you go state to state,
No
um,
doubt.
which is crazy when you think about
Yeah,
it. Now,
I agree.
mm, you've also worked with one of the world's most renowned hairstylists, and you were involved with Fashion Week in New York, was it?
Yes. Um,
Yeah, so tell us a little bit more about that.
yeah, so I'll kind of give you a background of how I got into the hair industry, because I feel like that's just very important, especially to SMMA people who don't know how to get clients,
Hmm.
or they don't know where to look. Honestly, it just starts from messaging people. This guy, I actually messaged him 4 years prior to when we started doing work now. And he was selling him and a couple other guys, they manufactured different blow dryers, and they had their own brand. And I just reached out to him for an opportunity to sell the stuff. So I was just like, hey, I want to sell. I see you guys started a brand. And, you know, he blew me off. It was cool. It was all love. And I ended up reaching out to this guy 3 or 4 different times over the course of 4 years.
Oh,
And
wow.
thought, yeah. And it's just a simple message like, hey, checking in, see you're doing this, glad to see it. And that was pretty much it. And this last time I messaged him, and you know, I reached out about masterminds, and I was like, hey, I'd love to help you set up some masterminds, help you get clients, you know, get people to pay you high dollar, you know, $2,000-$5,000 a seat just to come and sit there and learn from you. And this was the one. You know, he was like, I just happened to step away from my social media person. I would love to have you, you know, to meet with you. And he ended up flying to Minneapolis, which is about 3 hours from me. And I went there, met with him. I got a hotel. We stayed there for the weekend, talked. And 2 months later, I was in New York for Fashion Week. So it was a really, really cool opportunity. And it really just comes from reaching out. But as far as that client goes, Fashion Week was amazing. I do a lot of different things for this client now. I manage his entire Fashion Week team. I travel kind of throughout the States with him as of now, hopefully to do a lot of overseas stuff like Milan Fashion Week and all those things too. But just traveling with him right now, being a personal assistant, and also managing and helping him brand himself. So that's going phenomenal.
No, that's absolutely awesome. And, you know, the story there of persistence, perseverance, consistency, you
You
know,
have to.
all in one, because I know a lot of people, they'll send like 10 emails, or they'll send 100 emails on one day and then give up on day two because they haven't had a response. But you have identified someone, you know, as your dream client, and you want to work with them, and you have pursued them for 4 years. So now that you are kind of going to be globe trotting and jet setting with
Yes.
them across all the fashion weeks, well, do you work with other hairdressing or kind of salon kind of clients, or do you have some sort of an exclusivity contract?
Yes, so I do work with other clients. Now, the great part about him and doing Fashion Week, he has a team of about 30 people. They all own their own salons or work in a salon. So a lot of those people on that team, I actually do work with as well. So I work with several people who have their own salons, but then on top of that, I also do work with just people as far as just getting people in their individual chairs as well that work in a salon. So yeah, as far as the experience there, it's amazing. And right now, kind of on hold because of COVID. But
Mm.
with that company in Italy, it's the same thing. It's the brand who represents Joseph, and they give him all his supplies. And I'm basically gonna do other marketing in North America when they open up here. They planned on launching this year, so it was a shock when they didn't launch here. And it kind of hurt a little bit to kind of push us back another year, but staying in touch with them and doing that as well. So definitely all over the hair industry when it comes to products, salons, and hairstylists themselves. So
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I think, in sharing that part of your journey, you've also kind of uncovered another marketing technique, which is about referral marketing. And
yes.
the clients that you have right now into ambassadors for your agency and ambassadors for your brand, and especially if they are well connected and they are known within the community that you wish to serve, then that just opens door after door for you. And I mean, you're not the first person that I have spoken to that has picked up one client and then as a result has picked up many more
Oh
clients.
yeah.
That
Oh
you
yeah.
So it makes total sense to kind of pursue a whale, I suppose, or someone who obviously has a bit of a stature in their audience. Now, before you got into the hair space, the fashion space, what you took these courses and they've paid dividends. Did you try reaching out to any other niches, and how much success did you have doing that?
Oh gosh, yeah. I reached out to a lot of different people. I was working with a chiropractor for quite some time, and honestly, that kind of just we kind of went different ways. Just came down to the clientele, and that was one thing that I learned from one of the programs that I wish I would have taken the advice. One thing that I was always told is it's kind of hard to work with somebody who's new, because they don't have their stuff figured out. They're
Mm,
not generating that money already. So you trying to help them generate money that they can't generate themselves was difficult. So I tried starting it with him. It was a new business, and it just, we'd get leads and we just weren't closing leads.
right.
So it just kind of was like, I just saw a disagreement there and went different directions. So I love that industry though. I honestly wish
Mm,
that I was in it more. But once you do find your niche, you kind of have to stick with your guns and what you're getting good at. I'm getting all my practice there. So, you kind of have to stay there. You can't really fight that. But yeah, I tried a lot of different industries, chiropractors, lawyers. I mean, you name it, I probably reached out to them. So
yeah, no, that makes sense. Obviously, I think this is a rookie mistake that a lot of people make, where they sign someone up and they get all giddy and excited about it without kind of realizing that this person doesn't have the mechanism to convert leads
right.
generating, right? Because the back end processes are not there, or they're not calling the leads in a timely manner. And I think this is an expensive mistake. For those of us who have been in this space for a couple of years, we've all been through the same kind of cycle.
Oh yeah.
It's quite a common story. So when you were doing your outreach initially, how were you reaching out? Were you kind of emailing them, DMing them on social media, turning up at their doorstep?
Absolutely. I strictly DM'd people
Mm-hmm.
at first. It kind of was something where I'd follow people and I would never DM them right away. Uh, I have this big thing, and I really believe in only working with people that you would do well working with. I have to kind of see their personality before I even remotely reach out to them. I kind of want to, do my own research on those people and kind of find out about their reputation, because you can't help someone with a bad reputation, and you don't want to work with somebody that's kind of a jerk either. So I definitely spend a lot of my time at first just following them. trying, just liking their stuff, just keeping my name in front of their face. And then after like a couple weeks, if I thought it was a good fit for me and for them, I would absolutely send them a DM, just telling them that I like their content, I like what they're doing, and that I think I can help them and would love to get them on the phone. If sometimes they respond, if they respond and they're not really sure, I'll just show up every once in a while. If it's their business, I try to like, shop there, or, I want to find out what the experience is. So again, I'm just kind of keeping my face, keeping my name in front of them, and when the opportunity is right, reach out again. And again, it's not every once a week I'm reaching out to these guys. I mean, like the first client I talked about, it was 4 years before I got to him, and it was one message a year. And it was just, just, hey, how's it going? I hope things are well. It looks like you're doing awesome. And that was it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And one of the questions that I keep on appearing in the Facebook groups, and I get asked quite often, is, what script do you have to do your outreach? So you mentioned, you're just asking, hey, hello, how are you? I like your content. Was that it? Did you have a pitch that you were following? Did you have a structure to the messages that you were sending out?
Not necessarily a pitch, but definitely a structure. I've learned that you can't convince people that convince them that you're the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Because no one wants, if they don't know you, they don't want to hear about you. A lot of those people, you just got to be very strategic on how you talk to them. And I'll just talk to them for 30 minutes just about them. I don't want to talk about me at all. I don't even really want to say what I do. I just want to talk to them, get their vibe, and get them to really understand me and know me. And then I kind of ease my way in. So no particular pitch, but definitely a strategy for sure.
And I'm sure on your journey, you've come across other people that have tried to set up their own agency, that have tried to pick up clients and, and have not lasted, I suppose. What are the common mistakes that you see agency owners make when they're trying to pick up clients?
Trying to take on too much at one time, especially if you're new and you're not super experienced. I mean, just find something that works for you. I see a lot of people that they'll jump niches like crazy, and then they will overpromise. And my biggest thing is I always underpromise and overdeliver 100% of the time, because my underpromise can still sound really good because I know it'll happen. But when I overpromise them, they're like, wow, okay. And it just comes from, just being simple. And I tell people, look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I can get you 100 clients, because any marketer who can guarantee you that is probably lying to you. But I can tell you I can for sure get you 10, and I find out how much money 10 clients will make them. If it's a good amount of money, and again, you have to go for the high ticket clients. I mean, if it's a hair salon, it's hard when you're making $10 a haircut, or whatever the case may be. But if you got a lawyer or a chiropractor that can really benefit off of one client, you just got to get those numbers, and you got to figure it out and put that against them. So, if I say, hey, if I can get you 10 clients and each of those clients made you $500, what would you do with that extra money? And I just get them to talk about the money and the experience and what they would do with that money and what that would do for their business, how they would invest back in their business if they had that extra money. Because it's not about me, it's really just asking them the questions that they want the answers to, and they answer their own questions. And that's just how you go about talking to them. So I just wouldn't hop around niche to niche. I would buckle down. I would find someone. I would just practice your pitch and practice your scenarios with the one client or two, and then go from there. Don't take on too much at a time. It's just not going to benefit you at all. I just really don't see it.
Yeah, so that's great advice there, and you touched upon the importance of obviously kind of finding clients that can afford your services, really, and,
yes,
and are getting kind of, some sort of a high ticket retainer or something like that. Now, in your own business, are you doing everything yourself? Are you doing the branding, the advertising, and, all of the other parts that come with running the business, or do you use like contractors? Are you using freelancers? What's your setup?
I absolutely do everything myself, and it is the worst possible thing you could do. You definitely have to find people that are better than you at certain things. And that's kind of something that I'm working on right now. Over the last couple months, I've realized that I definitely need to start outsourcing these things. And really, when you start to grow and in your business, you're gonna have to. Don't be me. I've waited way too long, and it's definitely something you need to find what you're strong at, focus on that, and all the stuff you're semi okay at, find someone who's really strong in that.
Mm.
So I should absolutely do that for sure, and I'm working on it. We're in the process of interviewing people and just making sure that it's a good fit.
Great. Now, you will know that the digital space is evolving very quickly. You know, there's things
Yes.
coming out every day. How do you stay on top of the game? Do you, what influencers do you follow? What do you read? How do you make sure that, you are kind of ahead of the curve?
Absolutely. Starts with the morning routine, making sure you wake up in the morning with the same mindset every single day. From there, you really just have to tap into your resources. I follow guys like Gary Vee, all the guys I mentioned before, Tony Robbins, Dean
Yeah.
Graciosi, and you just really get that vibe from them, that energy. And the cool thing about following content creators and people like that, they always will talk about the trends. They will talk about the now. They will talk about what they're doing. Gary Vee especially, he gives all of his stuff away for free pretty much. I mean, he's just really content blasting, does really important things. And and it's just everything watching those guys, and as a marketer, just doing your research, staying on top of the pages and the people that are doing well. Because the people that are doing well, they watch other people who are doing well. So
Mm.
you can't watch someone who's not in the same place you want to go. You just can't. You can't do that. If someone's, if they're not generating that same income that you want to generate, you can't take that advice. You can't watch from them because they're probably not growing like you want to grow. So you just always got to find people that are way ahead of you, and you got to chase.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Final question for you, because you don't
Yeah.
want to take up too much of your time. You've been quite generous already. If you were to start everything all over again and you had to get, revenue is zero, what would you do differently this time around?
This is like a really great question. I really appreciate you asking this question because I think about it almost every single day. Um, and honestly, I think the biggest thing that I would do is do it sooner. I mean, really, like if I was like at $0, like, and I wish I would have started from the jump grinding harder in the beginning. At first, I kind of just dabbled. I'd send a couple messages and I'd be like, oh, no response, maybe this isn't for me. And I'd put myself in just the wrong headspace. And I just wish from the beginning, I think if I would have been more focused right away from the jump, I would have been able to dive in and send a lot more messages and have more confidence in the beginning. Because I think that's everything. So I wish that when I decided to start, I wouldn't have waited, the 3-4 months before I really got started.
Right. No, that makes perfect sense. So if you're watching this and you're consuming video after video, course after course, content after content, get started now because there is no better time. And if you don't get started now, you probably never will. So, Tyus, thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, hey, thank you very much for having me. It was great to be on here, and I was really glad to talk to you.